Hello there everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today I thought we could talk about the magic of the moon and how you can work with it in your practices. The moon is one of the most important magical connections we have as witches, or well, magical practitioners in general. And working with the moon is commonplace in magical practice regardless of the practitioner's preferred form of working. Drawing upon lunar energies during spellwork or aligning the timing of your witchcraft with the phases of the moon will, simply put, add more power to your spells. As a green witch, I often look to the moon to decide when to plant seeds in my garden or even harvest what is grown. And it plays a key role in the timing of my herbal creations, but I'll touch on that stuff all throughout the video. As stated, the phases of the moon are capable of impacting the overall potency of a spell, and so there's a lot of benefit when working in harmony with this energy. So let's dig into what all of this means and how you can start aligning your workings with the phases of the moon. Each phase offers particular energies that can be harnessed for a specific magical goal. These energies can be broadly understood within the cycles of waxing and waning. In general, working magic for increase or to bring something into your life is best done during the waxing moon, as during this time the moon is growing in the sky, and thus the energies are reflecting this. And this means the opposite is true when it comes to working with the waning moon. Here it's best to work magic to decrease something or banish it, as the moon itself is decreasing, and the lunar energies at play during this time once again reflect that. I use this basic understanding in my practice when it comes to planting seeds in my garden. In general, I plant plants whose strength lies above ground while the moon is waxing, and those whose strength lies below ground during the waning moon. Now, if you're feeling crafty, this can be broken down even further. Wherein, when the moon is new to first quarter, plant leafy annuals and herbs. First quarter to full, plant flowering annuals, above ground vegetables and fruits, and vines. From when it is full to third quarter, plant perennials, root vegetables, and bulbs. And finally, from third quarter to dark, weed, fight pests, and just take care of the general maintenance of your garden. Though I would like to note that many weeds are incredibly beneficial medicinals or even magical partners, so do some research before you take them out of your garden. Sorry, got off track a little. Of course, this type of lunar alignment with planting doesn't speak to everybody's path, and it doesn't even work with mine for the majority of the year. But the basing behind these actions still holds true throughout all forms of spell work. So let's dig into each phase of the moon with fewer plant analogies. Not no plant analogies, but fewer. The phases I will be discussing today are the new moon, the waxing moon, the full moon, the waning moon, and the dark moon. So get your notebooks ready. First, let's talk about the new moon. There is some debate on when it's properly timed to classify the moon as new. Personally, I see it as new from the very first day it's visible in the sky to about the second or third day after the moon has been dark. Though some modern astrologers do classify it as new when it is dark and not present in the sky. Really, I think it's up to each individual to decide how they perceive it, but I find that the energy is most potent in a new moon sense when it has actually begun to be visible. And this is typically how it is commonly used and understood within witchcraft. I view the dark moon as an entirely separate energy and phase in the moon, as do many other witches. But of course, as with anything within witchcraft, work with it in what ways feel right to you, because what works for me may not work for you. But we're still talking about the new moon. As you may imagine, lunar energies during this time encourage new beginnings. This is when you want to initiate new ventures or ignite your dreams. Think about doing magical workings for a new job, a new home, or anything you want to start bringing into your life, as the magic done during this time will continue to grow and feed off the energies of the moon as the phases move forward to full. A wonderful thing I like to do during the start of each new moon is begin my studies on a new herb, and I'll continue these studies all the way through to the next lunar phase. And really, this could go for anything you're trying to learn. Now, when we move into the waxing moon, the energies are fairly similar to the new moon, but now there's an added emphasis on growth. Think about doing magical workings in regard to constructing, strengthening, or gaining. And this is a wonderful time to attract things into your life that you're seeking. Do you want a better relationship, to pull more money into your life, or to increase your salary, or get a promotion at work? Well, this is a wonderful time to work towards those goals and continue pushing for anything you started during the new moon. I have also found that transplanting trees is best done during this time, or really transplanting anything in your life. Alrighty now, when it comes to the full moon, think fruition. This is the time when anything you set to seed during the new moon will come to be. The full moon is arguably the most powerful phase in the lunar cycle. This is the time to work spells for attaining, receiving, or anything you want to bring to a successful culmination. It is a wonderful time for manifesting your goals or working on anything that needs a little extra oomph. Now moving on to the waning moon. This is when the moon begins to wane or decrease in size, and thus the energies emitted reflect that. This is a time for working spells that revolve around decrease, banishment, or overcoming and resolving things. Do you want to cut ties with a person or decrease a feeling or emotional toll you're experiencing? Well, this is the perfect time to do it. This is also a perfect time to work household purification or cleansing rituals, as it's a good time to drive negative energy away. Though, of course, cleansing and purification can be done during any time. I personally use this time as a monthly overall cleanse of a house, getting the spaces I wouldn't normally hit. Now, finally, let's talk about the dark moon. The dark moon is this period of time between the waning and the new moon, when the moon is no longer present in the sky. As I said earlier, some people do choose to represent this time as the new moon, though I myself, along with many other witches, view it as an entirely separate thing. Some witches, including myself, actually choose not to practice during this time, instead using it as a period of reflection and looking forward to what we're going to begin during the new moon. But some swear by its powerfully destructive magic. But if you do choose to practice, remember, this magic is powerful and needs to be respected. So go about it sparingly and with caution. Personally, I believe it's up to you to decide how you go about working with the dark moon. Just, I do ask to go forward with respect and open eyes. Okay, I know that was a lot of information, but it's pretty straightforward, I promise. One of the things I like to use to help remember how these energies correspond is a little plant analogy. So, when the moon is new, set your intentions to seed. As it is waxing, the seed begins to grow. When the moon is full, what you set to seed comes to fruition. Then, during the beginning of the waning moon, you'll harvest what is grown. At the end of the waning moon and throughout the dark moon, take care of the garden plot, pulling out weeds and preparing to begin in the next cycle once again. Really, it's just a constant cycle of growth and decrease, and trying to figure out how to fit your spell workings within that. Now, I do think it's important to note that you can do spell work anytime, regardless of what phase of the moon it is, as successful spell work is possible without the aid of the moon. However, it is much more powerful with it. And another important note, even if it may seem like the wrong phase to do a specific spell you have in mind, you may still be able to complete it with the aid of the moon. Sometimes all it takes is a little tweaking and wording changes. For example, let's say you want to bring more money into your life, but it's a waning moon, so the energies aren't great for attracting or growing. Instead of doing a spell to increase your earnings or bring money to you, you may choose to do a spell to cut your expenses or decrease the financial strain. Same end goal, just a different way of going about it. This way, you can work spells with the aid of the moon whenever it is needed, for the most part, instead of waiting until the time is right. Now, a few last considerations, and because I'm a green witch, I'm going to put them in green witchery terms, but I promise they apply elsewhere. So, just as the sun moves through constellations, the moon does as well, and thus we have moon signs. Now, the moon moves through them a whole heck of a lot quicker than the sun. I believe it actually gets finished with a complete cycle in about 28 days, moving through each sign every 2 to 3. And as you can probably imagine, this also has an impact on the energy emitted. Now, as I said before, I'm going to use green witch terms, but this still applies elsewhere, I promise. So, when the moon is in Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, It is a wonderful time to plant or set things to seed. During a moon in Aries, Gemini, or Leo, it's time to harvest. And when the moon is in Virgo, Sagittarius, or Capricorn, you'll want to work towards cultivating. Now, of course, this is just something extra you may or may not want to keep in the back of your mind. Working with the energies of the moon can be as simple as aligning or timing your spells to certain phases of the moon. Or it can be as complex as actually calling down the energies and working to build a pathway of sorts with it. Now that we've got all of those informational things out of the way, how do you actually begin attuning and working with these energies? Honestly, it's pretty simple. I would recommend, if you haven't worked with the moon before, to spend some time meditating and visualizing with the energy. I don't know if that makes a whole ton of sense, but just trying to sit down and focus solely on the lunar energies for a week or throughout an entire phase kind of gives you the ability to understand it a little better. And alongside this, I would recommend experimenting a little. Do some simple workings or cleanse some spaces and see how things change and flow with the energies of the moon. I promise you, if you just take some time and experiment a little, it'll come to you pretty quick. And you'll soon enough have a really good grasp of how to work with the moon in your practices. Remember, there's no rush. Take your time. Witchcraft is a practice you will continue to learn about and work towards throughout your entire life. And so it's okay to spend as much time as you need getting to know these energies. So even though this was a lot of information, don't feel like you have to have it all down right now. It's okay to take your time. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and want to check out my channel, go for it. It's full of Wicca and witchery and things of the sort. And if you find yourself wanting even more content, go check out my other channel, which will be linked down below. Alrighty guys, I hope to see you soon.